Hey guys, Scott Gepkin, Innovative MX, bringing you episode 4 of Winners Find Ways on the Over the Bars Network. Here we are, bringing some more content to you guys. It's been pretty crazy with the coronavirus situation that has taken over the entire world and changed everybody's lives. So I hope you guys are being safe. I hope you guys are taking all the necessary precautions and putting the right stuff in place, whether you're at work or at home or whatever it is in your day-to-day life that is going to keep you guys safe and keep you healthy. But I'm just going to dive right into it. I'm going to try to make these episodes a little bit shorter. Sometimes I get just a rambling on, and nobody wants to listen to that. So episode 4, and what I want to talk about is being coachable. And how do you become more coachable? Things you need to think about when you go into a training session or a coaching session, or when you're working with your mechanic or your mom or dad or whoever it is that's trying to help you at the track. And there's a couple different things to it, and everybody has their own little thing that they can basically improve on, or things that they're good at, or things that, maybe this is going to be all new information. You've never really heard it or thought about it this way. But like for me as a coach, coaching different, riders with different skill sets, it requires me to be flexible, and I have to approach each rider differently. So sometimes I'm working with an A dude, and then right when I get done pulling him off the track, I'm working with a 65 guy, and sometimes that happens to me more often than not. And so when it comes to something like that, I have to adapt to it, and be able to kind of learn from the situation as well. And so I run into a lot of riders that cannot take any coaching from mom or dad or from the mechanic or even from a coach. And sometimes they just don't pay attention. And so when it comes to something like that, it's all about being able to take constructive criticism, because that's what it is. Yeah, as a trainer, as a coach, I'm telling you, hey, you need to do this differently, and it will help you improve. And some people just can't do that. They just don't take that information well. But so the main topic of today is how to be coachable, and how to improve on that. And I'm going to refer a lot of this to like coming to a coaching or a training session with me. But you can apply this at any point when you're at the track on a practice day or race day or whatever it is that, whenever you're riding or whatever you're doing, whether you're riding in the backyard or whatever, working on basics, this can all apply to that. So the first things first, and it probably relates back to some of the other podcasts we've done, but it's being prepared. Coming into a riding day, whether it's practice, training session, race days especially, you need to be properly hydrated. You need to have enough nutrition. You need to have something good to eat in the morning, breakfast. You need to eat throughout the day. I try to remind my riders all the time that they need to do that kind of stuff. And being hydrated and having the proper nutrition, the right amount of calories in your body during a training session is going to help you be more coachable. It means your body's going to be working properly, and you're going to be prepared for the day of riding. Because, any day you're riding, you're burning tons of calories, tons of energy, and just like you're putting gas in your bike, you've got to put gas in your body, and that's going to come all down to your nutrition plan, your hydration plan, and you've got to monitor that. You've got to address it and adjust it based on the weather conditions, how long you're going to be riding, what kind of track you're riding, maybe if you just moved up to another bike size, takes a little bit more effort, something like that. Any of that comes into play, and those are things that you have to evaluate on your ride day. Because if you're planning on trying to get the most out of a training session, then when you're taking a break, you need to take a break. You don't need to go jump on the pit bike and go burn 30 laps on the pit bike track in between. Because what happens is you're going to gas out before it's time to go to the next drill, the next section, whatever it is that you're working on. Same thing when you're on race day. When you're in between motos and doing stuff like that, obviously you don't want to sit around all day. You can go play on the pit bike and stuff like that, but you want to make sure that you are prepared at each part of it, and that's by being properly hydrated and having the right calories and the right food going into your body, the right kind of fuel. So with that, If you do have the proper nutrition, hydration, I mean, all this kind of ties together. It's going to allow you to be more attentive, which means you're going to pay more attention. And a big part of, like, from a coaching standpoint, or from mechanic, mom and dad, whoever it is that's out there watching you or helping you, is be respectful. And that means that you're paying attention. You're being quiet while the coach is talking. You're not dazing off, looking at the birds flying through the sky. I remember being a little league kid, and they put you in the outfield. Next thing you know, you're watching butterflies fly around, and you're watching airplanes fly over, and you're not paying any attention. And sometimes training days can get like that, especially if you've done a lot of them. If you've done a lot of training sessions, it's not really a ton of new information. But what happens is everybody needs to work on that stuff, because a lot of times, like when I'm doing a training session, we almost always hit a basics drill no matter what. Well, what do the major leaguers do when they're getting ready for a game? When the Royals are getting prepped up for a baseball game, what are those guys doing? They're playing catch. They're fielding grounders. They're hitting batting practice. They're doing all of the basics to get dialed in to perform better at game time. And that's exactly what we do in a training session. And so a lot of times I'll see kids that just are over it. They've heard the same thing. They don't like doing ovals. They don't like doing circles. They don't like doing blah, 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 blah. And that kind of stuff can happen, to anybody. But if you're prepared and you're coming into training or coaching or a ride day with the right focus and the right mindset, then it's not going to be hard to be attentive and have full attention to the task at hand. So a lot of the time that I see these kids that aren't basically, that they're not prepared or they're not paying attention or whatever, they also have a hard time taking criticism. And when you're getting coached, that's what you're there for. You're there to be criticized. You're there to be evaluated and take some kind of criticism to adjust and get better at whatever it is you have in front of you. And that's the entire reason you're there. And so you have to be able to take that, and you have to be able to take it without getting frustrated. A lot of times I'll see riders doing a drill or working a section, and they just can't get the hang of it. And when they can't get the hang of it, they get frustrated, they get mad, they fall down, they have all kinds of issues where they are way out of focus, and they just get mad and frustrated and kind of throw a fit or whatever it is. I've seen this all happen before, and then they just shut down, and no matter what you do, you can't get across to them. And so if you're going into a coaching session or a training session, you're there to be coached. So you're there to be criticized, and you're there to be evaluated and coached to get better. That's the whole reason you're there. That's the whole point of the day. And so you have to be able to take that criticism, and you have to be able to take it, use it, apply it, and then you will improve. And block out all the bad stuff, block out a negative attitude. You're not getting picked on. You're not getting bullied, anything like that. You're being coached. And sometimes tough love is part of it. And my job as a coach, or as any good trainer is going to do, is they're going to be able to understand, ways to communicate with each rider and get that information across to them. So, that's important. Being able to take criticism and being respectful, taking that criticism, taking it, going on, applying it, adjusting to whatever it is, the situation that needs to be changed, and then moving forward. One other point that I want to touch on is, and this is sometimes I run into this a lot of times with parents and just different situations with different riders is sometimes it seems like they want it more than the rider does. And I've found myself having to explain this multiple times. Like you can't coach want to. You can't make somebody want to be better. You can't make somebody want to go do the big jump or want to improve or whatever. You can't yell, scream, stomp your feet, anything like that. You can't coach want to into someone. That's something that the rider has to bring with them. They have to want it. And when you're in that kind of a situation, you have to understand it as a parent, as a rider, as a coach. If the rider doesn't have the want to, there's not really a whole lot of coaching that's going to happen. You can't make it happen. Yeah, I can force them to do drills and work on this and work on that and just force them into doing it. But if they don't want to do it, then there's not a whole lot that can happen there. And it's same thing with a race day. Like want to is what I call it. And that's wanting to do whatever it is that needs to be done. And a lot of kids I work with have that want to. They have that internal drive, that internal motivation, and they're ready to get after it. They'll do whatever it takes to win, do whatever it takes to beat the competition. They'll do the extra work, and they'll make it happen. They'll take the criticism, the constructive criticism, apply it, make the change, and improve and be better. And so you have to have that want to, and you've got to find a way to do it. If you're spending all this money going racing, whether you're, it could be, it doesn't matter what class you're riding. You've got to have the want to, and that's a big part of it. You look at the guys that have made it all the way to the top of the sport, the Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, Jeremy McGrath, any of those guys, they had this want to that they wanted to win more than anything else at all cost, and that's all that mattered. And so when it comes to that situation, like, I can't make somebody want to do better, want to improve, and that's something you've got to bring with you to a coaching session and to a training session. That's the whole reason you're there. That's the whole reason it's happening. And I can't make you want to do it. So that's a huge part of it. And a lot of riders will develop that as they get older, or as they get more experienced or get new, run across new situations. And so a lot of times as a parent, you can't force your kid to want to. You can't jump down their throat. You can't stomp and scream and yell because you spent all this money and you drove all night and you got here and got there. That's not going, that if anything, that's going to do the opposite. Okay. So you can't make them want to do it. And you have to be able to evaluate that situation and find out what's going on. I mean, your rider better than I know as a coach, but sometimes a third party is what I would consider myself on the outside looking in, that if you've got one that wants to do it, then yeah, jump all in, jump both feet in and go. And then it should pay off. The rewards will pay off. And so that's something that each rider has to bring with them to a training session to help them improve being coachable. Like, okay, so for an example, this was at Mega Camp last year, Mega Camp 2019. We gave out some awards. I don't remember the name of the award that we gave out for this one, but Ari Beckham, the coaches collectively picked him, and we picked him to win I think it was Best Attitude Award. I'm drawing a total blank. I didn't put that down in my notes to talk about, but it's all just kind of coming to me. But anyways, he got the award that he got because he listened to every word we said and went out and applied it right away. He didn't ask questions, or I guess he asked questions, but he didn't, he took the information, he downloaded it, applied it, and improved. And there's not every rider can do that. And that was an important piece to the puzzle. That's why he won the award that he was. That's why he improved by leaps and bounds over the weekend at the camp. And that's one thing that I see every single time I train the kid, is that he has a huge desire, the want to, and it's cool to see that, so a young kid, I think he's 14, 15, and to see him apply himself the way that he is. And that's really cool. And as a coach, it's cool to see that. It makes coaching easy. So that's part of being coachable. And then that's also got to be rewarding for mom and dad and whoever else is listening. Is just aside from Ari, is when you see your rider, the lights come on and it's happening, man. It's a really cool thing to see. That's the whole reason I do this. If you see a rider improve, you work on one little thing. Sometimes it takes all day. Sometimes it takes one sentence, whatever it is, and it clicks and it goes and the light bulb comes on, and that's cool. That's really cool when that kind of thing happens. So another part is, all of this is talking about being coachable and how to be more coachable. And one little, a detail of mine that I have firmly believed, and it took me a long time to figure this out, but doing good in school, doing good in your homework. I'm not just saying that because everybody says do good in school, do your homework. I was not that good at school. I did enough to get by. I wanted to be out of there more than I wanted to be there. Trust me. But until I got older and I realized how important all of it was, which I'm sure there's plenty of people listening to this in the same boat. It took me a long time to figure out how important it was to do my schoolwork, my homework, study, all the above. And I found out that the more that I studied and just worked on my schoolwork, and the better I did, the better I got at riding my motorcycle. Now, you hear that and you're like, well, why you're not riding your motorcycle? How are you getting better at that? Well, the thing is when you're doing your schoolwork, you're solving problems, you're adjusting, you're solving equations, whether it's math, whether you're studying history, whatever, all of that comes into play riding your bike. Doing motos, training, whatever it is, all of that stuff will help you apply and analyze what's going on. The better you do in school, the better you will do on the bike. It's just the way that it is. I promise. The better your grades are, the better you're going to ride, the better you're going to perform, the more races you're going to win. It's just the truth. It's something that I've been able to notice. I've been able to realize that. And it took me a long time to figure it out for myself. So, everybody wants to talk about do your homework, do this and do that. I'm telling you, it's a huge part of it. It makes a big, big difference. The other piece of this, I've got a handful of bullet points that I'm trying to run through. And so being coachable, improving your coaching session, a training day, taking more from it, a huge part of this, and I run into a giant issue with this when I'm at work, okay? I put on meetings, I put on trainings at work all the time, and I always ask, hey, does anybody have any questions? Nobody usually has anything to say. Nobody ever raises their hand. Maybe you get one guy. But being coachable means ask questions. Asking questions is a good thing. That's how you get an understanding of what it is that's going on. And sometimes, I'm talking sometimes when I'm coaching, I'm talking to the whole group of guys, and sometimes somebody's already doing, what I'm talking about, or somebody's never even heard it before and it's all new to them. And so you have to develop the situation. You have to have a good understanding of what's being coached and what's being discussed. And if you don't, you need to ask questions. Like if you're coaching with me, maybe you don't want to ask a question in front of everybody. Then pull over and talk to me by yourself and say, hey, what about this or what about that? The whole idea is to coach and get better. And if you don't have a good understanding of what you're working on, then you're not going to be getting it. You're not going to improve. You're not going to, make that next step that you're trying to do. So ask questions no matter what it is, especially like when I'm coaching starts. Starts are hard to coach, okay? Once you get it dialed in and you do it a handful of times, at least the way that I do starts, it just takes a lot of time. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of pieces. And so it is important when you're doing that kind of thing to ask questions. And it can go from anything from basic technique to faster lap times to gym work off the bike to whatever it is. Make sure you're asking questions, and that all ties back into the want to. The want to that I can't coach you. But what can happen is that the questions you ask can help you develop on your want to and develop your whole technique or whatever it is that's being worked on. Make sure you're asking questions, being thorough. Make sure you have a good understanding of what you're working on. So let me get through here. So we're talking about coachable. We've talked about a couple of different things. And this is probably the biggest thing that I'm try to beat into my riders' heads every time I have a coaching session. And this goes a long ways. This is more than being coachable. This goes right up there with being respectful. And it's all about being thankful and thanking those who got you to where you are. Racing motorcycles, owning motorcycles, doing the stuff we do is a huge privilege. We talk about some of this on the show all the time, about some of this all the time. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyways, we talk about this on the show quite a bit. And being thankful goes a long ways. There's a lot of hours spent in a vehicle. There's a lot of hours spent in the garage. There's a lot of money spent getting to and from and here and there and everything else. And there's a lot of time spent by track owners and everything else making it happen. Now, I'm not saying say thank you to me, the coach. I'm there because I want to be there and I want to help you improve. I want you to be thankful to those who got you to where you are. Okay? Be thankful to mom and dad. Be thankful to your mechanic. Be thankful to the track owner or whoever it is that has property that's letting you ride on it. It's all a privilege, and it's all so important to be thankful, and it goes so far to be able, it just makes it worth it. It makes life a whole lot better if you can be thankful for this situation and be thankful for the people who support you, because there's a lot of time and a lot of effort spent on all of this. And a lot of times sometimes it's people that you don't even see all that often, or things you don't think about. But as long as you're being respectful and you're being thankful, it's going to help you in the long run. It's going to help you with sponsors. It's going to help you with having mom and dad take you to the track every weekend, and making them have that want to, that's a big part of what motivates them to keep you doing it, is to see you improve and do well and learn. And it all ties together. But if you can be thankful and be thankful to the people who got you to the track, got you your bike, got you whatever it is, maybe you're funding the whole thing yourself, and just be thankful to your boss that has a good, the job you've got. Reward yourself by being coachable and improving on what needs to be worked on, by being able to take that criticism, whether it's mom, dad, trainer, mechanic, girlfriend, wife, whatever it is. You've got to make sure that you're being thankful and being respectful to those people, because they spend a lot of time. I mean, you spend all weekend at a dirty, loud racetrack, and it's 100 degrees in August, and it's just miserable sometimes, but we're there to race, we're there to compete. And we've all talked about this on the show before too, how crazy motocross is and how crazy we are for doing the things that we do to compete. It's just, and you can't even explain it. I can't even, that's a whole nother episode on its own, and it would just be me saying you can't explain it over and over. But we do this, we love it, we compete, we want to be the best, and to be the best, you have to be coachable. And by being, to improve being coachable, you've got to be prepared each day. You've got to pay attention and be respectful. You've got to be able to take criticism and take that criticism and improve your, whatever it is that you're working on. You've got to have the want to. You've got to have the desire, the heart, the motivation to do the work and perform. You've got to do good in your schoolwork or at work or whatever it is. When you're doing that kind of stuff, it will help you improve on the motorcycle. I guarantee it. And I will vouch that all day long, every day. And you've got to make sure you're asking questions so you have a clear understanding of what you're working on. And you've got to be thankful to those who got you there. So that's what I've got today. Episode 4, how to be coachable, how to improve being coachable. Whatever the title is going to be, it doesn't matter. But thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. I want to thank a couple people that have kind of helped out with this. I don't even have any date announcements or anything for any schools coming up. Nothing in April. I've kind of held off on all of this training right now because I just don't think it's the best thing to do. The risk is too high right now to have somebody crash and go to the emergency room. So if you're riding, if you're playing pit bikes, whatever, do it at 85%, man. Don't go out there and go balls to the walls right now, because the hospital is the last place you want to be if something crazy were to happen. But a couple people, you guys hear me thank them all the time, but I've got to bring them up. I've got to thank Bart over at Donnell's Motorcycles, Honda, Suzuki, Husqvarna. Check them out. They've got a bunch of little bikes. I saw them just post something on Instagram about 2020 RM 85s, and that thing looks sick, man. I know they probably haven't had a ton of changes over the years, but the thing looks really, really cool. Eli Staton just got one. I think he's got some gold wheels and some sick graphics. They just look really cool. I kind of wish I was on an 85 again. They look pretty rad, and you don't see a lot of them, which is different. Bolt Motorcycle Hardware. Those guys have come on this year, and I'm working on getting some really cool stuff for you guys. It should be really neat. Fox Racing, obviously it's available at Donnell's. That's where I get all my stuff. Head to toe, Fox Moto all day long. Vince over at Lap King. Check those guys out. If you haven't got one already, jump online, order one. They're really cool. They're a lot of fun. They make the practice days a whole lot better. Above all construction, you need roof, windows, doors, whatever you need for your house, the exterior home, give these guys a call. Check them out on Facebook. Bruce over at Bar to Bar MX, he is now a grandpa. So congratulations to Connor and Maggie on their new baby. Rhett has entered the world, and he is all healthy. Kind of a crazy time to come into the world, if you're asking me. Tyler over at Rhino Power, we've got a call set up for next week. We've got some really cool stuff in the works. Check out Rhino Power supplements. be on the lookout for some stuff coming from Innovative MX. Factory Connection, best guys in the game, no doubt about it. I'm ready to get a new bike so I can get it down to Factory Connection, get it set up. Free Motion Clothing. Avery has worked up some really cool stuff that we've got. We just placed an order. Keep an eye on our social media. We'll be posting up a bunch of stuff. Keep an eye on our website. That'll be coming to you pretty quick. The Missouri Vintage Series, MoVMX. Right now, they've got a crazy issue with schedules, and it's just kind of the way it is right now, and everybody's battling this. So keep an eye on their socials. They'll give you an update, Facebook, Instagram, all the above. They check their website for their schedule. I know they're kind of modifying it and changing it. And there's going to be a bunch of changes down the road, but we will get to race it sometime this year. So make sure you check them out. They're going to have some really cool stuff for beginner riders. I'm teaming up with them for a couple of different races but when we finally get to that point. And then KMCS, Kansas Motocross Championship Series. It'll be on at some point. They've got some new tracks. They've got some different things they're doing at some of the old tracks to make sure that they're good. And it should be a really good year once we finally get this thing kicked off. So luckily it is only April. And we've got some time to get past all this because we're in it together. We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same situation. So make sure you're staying safe, be healthy, wash your hands, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening. Check us out at InnovativeMX, at over.the.bars, and at Scott_Gepkin. See ya.